Hello and welcome to my new chess lesson. Today we will speak about strategical chess idea called Reti Rifle. You maybe never heard about this, but never neglect chess strategy. Maybe this tool will help you in your next game to win. You definitely need to discover it. I will reveal this absolutely with examples. Stay tuned to the end. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and let's start. That is the game of Richard Reti himself, who was the inventor of the idea. He played as white against Frederick Yates, and in this position, which is basically okay for black, no troubles, they control the center, everything looks quite great, Reti played rook c2. I think that this move is already surprised his opponent, maybe he didn't understand even the idea, and after bishop d7, he played queen e1, and that's basically what do we call the Reti Rifle. This pair of pieces are really getting ready to attack the center and the king side, and that looks quite interesting. And to be honest, it's a very typical tool in chess these days. Let's see how it was later in the game with this. Knight g6, black played. Looks quite logical. Black just want to hold the center and defend the e5 pawn one more time. Rook goes to c1 as white. Also, what could be more essential, just to control the only one open line. To be honest, it's still a good position for black, and black played quite logically up to the time. So bishop c6 makes sense to block the line, definitely. Knight f1. So what is the Reti's plan? He wants to use his rifle and his double fianchetto to attack the center. He's moving the knight to e3 to be able to attack the central pawns, and he was successful in this game with that strategy. So after queen d7, he played knight e3, and maybe here it was the moment for black to play d4, to be honest, to shut down a bit this rifle, and like after, for example, knight c4, bishop goes c7 to save the pair of bishops. Honestly, this position looks really great for black, so they hold the center still, and yeah, white have chances, but still black is okay. But I believe his opponent was so shocked with the rifle thing that he just played h6. Looks like okay move to make a window for the king, right? But that's basically a bit too slow in this position. Reti played d4, and after e4, yeah, for sure, if he takes on d4 in this position, for example, I just take with my knight. And that's what we really expect from our rifle. Because now, not only this pieces are working on the diagonal, but also the bishop from g2 and the pawn on d5 is the weakness, so it's definitely a better position for us. No jokes here. So that's why e4 to close up the center looks logical, but now we have knight e5. And thanks again to our rifle, we have enough protectors on the e5 square. And basically in this position, after takes, black really forced to go knight h7, which can't be good when the knight goes to the back rank. So that position is already better for white. Reti played rook f4. Rook d2 was, to be honest, also interesting because he attacked the pawn on d5, creating an idea to take on e4 one day. I mean, like, that was really interesting. But f4 is also looks okay for white, nothing bad. He just wanted to protect the e-pawn, and maybe to keep in mind to play f5 at some position. That's why it takes. Yeah, and this, like after knight g5, f4, knight h3, king h1, is definitely a completely better situation for white. So our pieces are working how we really wanted from them towards the center, and we are ready to play even f5 at some moment. This pawn is the weakness, so everything is going great. The Reti Rifle in this game worked perfectly, for sure with the support of opponent because of his mistakes, but still. So let's see how it's ended because it's just a short one. So d4, black played, takes, rook d8, blacks try to unlock some position in the center, maybe to gain any chance against the king on h1, but the knight is basically outside the road, and white's just going with a short combo. Takes on c6. The idea after takes, we still will get back the rook, like for example in the line queen takes d4, we can just like take, and take on e8, holding an absolutely winning position, right? Obviously. So in the game after bishop c6, black decided to play knight f2, king g2, we need to react for the check, and after take, bishop e8, knight e4, White played e6, another tactical trick, right? So you can't take on e6 because of bishop takes g6, winning a piece, and after rook d2, king f3, this is hanging, that is hanging, white's having an extra material, black decided to resign. So the Reti Rifle worked perfectly in this position. For sure, black had chances. Now, let's go to the next example to learn more about this strategical tool, and next example will be more modern. This position happened in the game between Unziker and Taimanov. And looks like a quite typical situation for the Sicilian. Black has a bit bad pawn on d6 and potentially a weak d5 square. The white knights really wants to jump into this at some moment. But at the same time we can see, at the same time we can see that black position is good because they have advantage in development. Those pieces are still stuck. And yeah, everything looks okay. But what is the plan? Especially if we know the major white's idea to bring out the knight to d5. And in this position, Reti Rifle against helping us. Queen a8 was played in this game. So our aim, to be honest, is the pawn on e4. It's not like looks like obvious at the moment, but after few moves it would be. So black really wants to attack this pawn. The idea now that in case of knight c3, we can play knight d8. And now we have an over control of d5 square. We're attacking the pawn on e4. And this knight can't step to d5 because we will just take him and win the pawn. So in the game, white played knight d2. And let's see how black reacted. Basically, knight d2 is already not the best decision, to be honest, because this knight still needs to go to d5 at some point. But black played knight d8 here. Let's learn from the black's gameplay. The knight is going to c5 and black really takes the e4 pawn on target. So that looks very, very nice to us, right? In this position. So let's see, bishop d3, knight goes to e6. And here was a big miss of white. They definitely need to play b4 to control the c5 square, to prevent knight c5. For sure, this position after even knight f4 is better for black. All their pieces are great in the center. We can bring out the rook at some point to c8, the same like in the Reti's game. So the ideas are working quite similarly. And this position is for sure good for black. And the bishop on b2 is, to be honest, a bit dubious because he just looks through these pawns. So nothing bad, but for black. But white played rook c1. That's even worse because now we can play after rook c8, knight h2, knight goes to d7. He played basically knight c5 he was able to play knight c5. Even here it was still a good option, right? Nothing bad about this. But knight d7 is also great because now one knight is going to f4 and the other knight could be transposed to c5. And we will see how black step by step manually collect the advantage. So knight goes f1, knight goes c5, knight g3, and now important positional move g6. We need to cut the knight, we need to control these squares, right? Just to prevent the activation of knight on g3. Take a look, also positional strategy, important to know. Knight goes to e2, bishop goes to g5. That's another move I really like. So black is basically don't rush at all. They really have a domination on the board, dominative advantage. Better in space, better in pieces position, control the c line, c2 pawn is potential weakness, e4 pawn is actual weakness. So we can make this pin very uncomfortable for white. Maybe at some moment we can take on d2 to be able to take on e4. That's also we keeping in mind. So black's collecting step by step the advantage. Knight goes to c3 to protect the pawn on e4. But that allows us to jump with the knight to d4 because he can't capture us anymore. Knight b1, yeah, it's basically really tough to make a good suggestion for white in this position, to be honest. Still, like, excellent for black. Maybe b4 was still better to play, but even this I can take, and for example, I can play even a5, with the idea that after b takes a5, I just play queen a5. Yeah, weakness, my pieces are really looks great, hard to suggest. I want to take on d2 and play knight b3. Really hard to suggest something for white. So white tried to play knight b1, returning back in this position, right? Knight c goes to b1. Hard to judge, but let's see how black finished. Now d5, Typical Sicilian idea, right? To unlock the center. And after e takes, 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 bishop d5. And now our riffle is finally unlocked, and we are near b to our goal, to be honest. F3 to protect the pawn on g2, rook goes to c2, domination of the pieces. The rook is coming on the second round. a4, b4 for sure. We want to shut down the knight on b1. He's literally not moving now. And like after king h1, queen c6, White decided to resign. Really, it's a kind of a zugzwang in this position, to be honest. This is not moving, that is not moving, that is not moving. Black can collect their advantage, like I can play king g7, bishop f4, whatever, but it's really very tough for white to make a next move. And in some moment, I can use the weaknesses all around the position. So absolutely winning for black. I hope that you enjoyed these two examples, that you learned the Reti Rifle now, and you will use it in your games to gain more victories. Don't forget to comment this video, press your like, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. My pleasure to share knowledge with you, and see you on my new episodes.